The rideshare map. I started driving rideshare at night to cover a slow season at work. You learn the city differently when you move strangers through it. You learn which blocks breathe fast and which corners hold their breath. One night my phone glitched and showed me my wife's travel history instead of mine. Same app, shared account, some update that thought we were the same person. Her last trip, a pickup 2 streets over and a drop-off near a boutique hotel where rooms cost what we used to make in a week. It was probably nothing. People go places. People meet friends. People choose hotels for the bar, I told myself. Then I saw the timestamp. 1:11 a.m. She had told me she fell asleep at 10 after a bath. On the map, the purple line curved like a smile that didn't reach the eyes. I tapped the little car icon and it replayed the route back and forth like a heartbeat, and for the first time mine didn't match. I didn't confront her. I picked up a passenger with glitter on his shoes who told me he was coming from a karaoke place where a woman sang "Nothing Compares to You" so well that the room's argument stopped mid-sentence. I dropped him under a street of trees that had learned how to be lamps. I parked and stared at the map again. The app offered me a new trip. I declined. I drove home very slowly. The next day at breakfast, I asked my wife Vera if the bar at the Meridian was good. She looked up quickly, then smiled as if she had pulled the answer from a polite shelf. "Overrated," she said, and poured more coffee like punctuation. Why? I said the app had shown me an ad for it. I didn't tell her the app had shown me us. 2 nights later, the glitch repeated, like a song the DJ can't stop loving. A ride at midnight from the corner by our building to the same hotel. A return at 3. The driver left a review, polite, quiet, 5 stars. I imagined who the review was for. The staff guy at the door who calls everyone boss. The man who knows which elevator is faster. The version of me that has better stories. On Friday, I drove toward the hotel without a passenger. I told myself I was practicing for airport runs. The lobby smelled like the idea of citrus. I sat in the car and watched the brass revolve the way time does when you are waiting for it to become a person. At 1:04 a.m. Vera stepped out of a car I didn't recognize and into a conversation with a man whose suit fit like he had never made a compromise in it. They didn't touch. They didn't need to. Some people occupy the same air like a sentence that doesn't require verbs. I could have made a scene. I could have honked. Instead, I pulled away and took a trip from a woman who said she was visiting her mother in the hospital and didn't want to cry in front of her children. We talked about soup. I dropped her at a building that had lights on in a way that made me think of ships. Then I went home and lay on my side of the bed while Vera slept on hers like a person who had learned to drift. Saturday morning, I opened the app and scrolled. You can see patterns in data that people try not to be. Hotel nights every other day. Weekdays, not weekends. Rides that started near our building but never directly in front of it. I printed the map with the purple lines and placed it under the salt shaker. Vera came in, reached for the salt, and stopped. "What is this?" she asked. "A city I thought I knew," I said. She stared at the paper. Her face moved through a set of expressions like a weather app loading. "It's nothing," she said. "I needed space. I needed to feel like myself." I asked what self checks into a hotel by the hour and needs 2 different elevators. She said the man was a client. I asked what we were. She said I had become distant. I said the app disagreed. We tried a rule: transparency. Share calendars, share destinations. Share the reasons for each trip even if the reason was I don't want to be here right now. It lasted 5 days. On the 6th, I accepted a ride and realized the pickup was in front of our building, name Vera. I considered canceling. I didn't. She came out in a coat that had borrowed its confidence from somewhere expensive. She didn't see me. She got into the car behind mine, and the map drew the same curve, faithful like a bad habit. I saved money. That part of the story is boring and brave. I worked longer nights, kept the car clean like that mattered. I learned which songs talk passengers into silence. I learned that people tell drivers more than they tell friends. I learned there are 1,000 kinds of love and 1,000 ways to pretend yours is the only one that counts. When I told Vera I was moving out, she didn't yell. She looked at the table at the map at me. "You were so patient," she said. "I thought you'd be patient forever." I said patience is a bridge, not a home. She cried softly, as if volume could rewrite history. She said the client had already moved to another city. I didn't ask which one. I was learning to let destinations be someone else's concern. Now, months later, I still drive some nights. I like the feeling of going somewhere even when it isn't mine. The app no longer glitches. I turned off the family sharing and made separate profiles like neighbors who nod in the hall. Sometimes I pick up couples who sit too far apart in the back seat and talk about appetizers with the urgency of people choosing between stories. I drop them off and wish them well without saying it out loud. Once, near the old hotel, a man got in and asked if I knew a shortcut to a place that doesn't exist. I laughed and he laughed, and we drove the long way on purpose with the windows down. When I got home, I put my phone face up on the counter and let the screen go dark where I could see it. I slept in the middle of my bed like a road waiting for traffic. Tell me where you're watching from and your age. If your map ever told you the truth before you were ready, I hope your next route is yours to choose.